like scrubs in one place all at the same time. It's great. You all need like a group photo of this. So I'm excited to be here. Marianne recruited me to come today. So my name is Amberly Fay. I'm the Employee Engagement Manager here at EK. And we are embarking on a new recognition program that I'm very excited about. It's been about 5 years coming, so it's exciting when you start working on a project and you actually get to see it come to fruition. So I'm here to talk a little bit about that. So quickly the agenda, but I can get through this pretty quickly. So we're going to talk about performance recognition and then also career achievement, which is the new sort of term that we're using for service awards. And it's good timing. Did anybody go to the events yesterday or last week? Did anybody get a service award? A couple people. So what do you all think about the process? Okay. If you have feedback, I'd love to have feedback on how the events went and if it was a little bit more meaningful the way it was previously or versus the way it was previously. So I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like moving forward. So really the purpose of recognition is we use it a lot for retention. So we look at turnover. I've looked at various organizations, various healthcare organizations across the country to see if recognition can impact retention. And it does. So again, I'm a firm believer, and the research shows this too, that if you engage your employees through various ways, I mean that's why we do an employee recognition strategy and employee engagement survey, is to really focus on employees, because if we focus on employees, what is that going to impact? It's going to impact our patient experience. So typically my role would be in HR, but here at UK I'm actually in the Office of Patient Experience. So what we do is correlate those numbers. So we look at the employee engagement results and then we correlate those with the patient satisfaction results. So it's really interesting to see how that impacts it. And then another reason, innovation, engagement, increase performance, achieve our goals, and reinforce our values. So this is pulled from our employee engagement survey. This is the overall results around the question regarding recognition. So you can see we are the blue at the bottom, so we've had a nice increase, but we're still not at the average. And we benchmark ourselves against other UHC organizations, so other academic medical centers. So we are trying to close the gap. So just a little bit of background. We established the first program. Does anyone utilize the program now with the e-certificates? So we have e-certificates available. That actually started back in 2010. So like I said, it's been a long time coming, and it's been something that we've been trying to evolve for many years now. So we've recently gone through an RFI process just to see what else is out there, what vendors are available, and then that led us into the RFP process. So we've recently contracted with a vendor to help run this program for us, or to help partner with us. So the approach. So phase one was to find a vendor to partner with, which we did. The vendor's OC Tanner. They are the cream of the crop, so I'm excited to be working with them. And then phase two is really to work with them on a solution for UK healthcare. So we're looking at 3 different strategies. You can see encourage effort, reward results, and then celebrate careers. So when we talk about career achievement or our service awards, that's really the celebrate careers piece. The encourage effort is going to be this, we call it the low cost, high volume, and that's going to be e-cards. So those are going to be available through the new system. And then reward results. So that's going to be what we call the performance recognition, and I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. So again, the encourage effort. So this is really cool. I've seen a couple different demos. We are currently building what the program looks like. So I don't have anything to show with regards to that, but within the program, so everyone will have access. And so when you log in, and we're trying to get single sign-on. Does anybody know what that is? Single sign-on. It's like the most fabulous thing ever. It means you don't actually have to remember your password. You just click on it, and it would actually open up into this program. So we're working with IT to see if that's possible. So it would be one less password you would have to remember. So you would open up, and then it's going to have a feed directly from SAP. So that means all employees are going to be available to be uploaded into the system. And we're working on probably just a bi-weekly feed because we have new employees just about daily, it seems. So anyone will have access to the e-cards. And so there's 1,000 different e-cards that you can choose from. If somebody's having a bad day, you can send them an e-card. If they did something to help you out, you can send them an e-card. If you have a provider you're working with and you want to send them an e-card, because they're going to be in the system also if you're working with a nurse. So we're really looking at ways to really show appreciation and recognize people that aren't just within our discipline, but within that full care team as well. And there's some that are really cute and funny. The second piece, the career achievement. So there's a lot of research to go in at certain milestones, the feelings that are associated with those milestones. So we start here at celebrating at 5 years. So at 5 years, there's a lot of research that shows that's around the time when you actually start feeling like you might be an expert at what you do. So it takes about 5 years. At 10 years, you really start to feel like you belong with the organization. At 15, you're really invested, and so forth and so forth. So we really tried to design something around the feelings associated with that milestone year. And that's going to come in the form of what's called a yearbook. So this is a little bit different. So yesterday the events were around the honorees that were awarded in 2016. So if you hit your career anniversary in 16, you would have been celebrated yesterday and last week. So moving forward, this is going to impact the ones who have a 2017 career anniversary. Does anybody know if they're hitting their career anniversary in 2017? Okay, so you all will be a part of this process, the yearbook process. So it's exactly what you may think of when you think of a yearbook. So what we do is about 6 weeks in advance of the month of your celebration or the month of your date, your supervisor will get a note from the vendor, and it will say, Barb Atkins is getting her 5-year, we'll say. Yes. So Barb Atkins is getting her 5-year anniversary. Would you like to leave a note? And so you can just type it right into the email and hit submit, and it goes to our vendor. But then it also gives you a box that says, would you like to send this to anyone else to leave comments? So then, if I'm leaving a note for Barb as her supervisor, I can then send it to other people that Barb works with, other people in the office, whoever, and it doesn't actually just have to be a UKY email address. So if I know Barb's husband or kids, I can also send it to them, and they can leave a note as well. So then there's a deadline associated with that, so it usually takes about 2 or 3 weeks, and then the vendor collates that into what's called a yearbook. There'll be a message, like when you get your yearbook, there'll be a message from the executive leadership team. This is just some sample that I pulled, so this is not a person that works for UK Healthcare. It's going to have some information about our brand and our new values. And then here's where it gets into the comments. So each person can also upload up to 3 photos. Pretty simple process. Again, you just do it through the actual email. And then this is sort of what it looks like when you have comments. So it's kind of cool. It's really sort of tapping into that social network aspect of appreciation and recognition. So it's not just up to the supervisor to leave a note, but really your colleagues, and they can then send it out to people, and then it can keep going and going and going. But again, there is a deadline, so it's about 2 to 3 weeks, and then anything after that won't be printed in the yearbook, but it will be on your online portal that you'll have access to. And so that online portal, real quick, will have at the end of the yearbook, so it's going to have your messages and any photos, and then at the end of the yearbook, it's going to have your gift item. So based on your years of service, it's going to have a gift that you can go on and choose from. So a lot of people like the pins that we give out now, so that's going to be an option, but you're going to get to choose what you want to get. So a lot of people don't want the pins, a lot of people want the pins, so we have that as an option, but if you don't want it, you can choose another item. And so we've had a lot of feedback too over the years that people, while they like the UK Healthcare specific branded things, it'd be nice to have some things that weren't necessarily UK Healthcare branded. So there's going to be a nice mix of both. So that's really all the information about the career achievement, the yearbook. And so you'll get your yearbook because it's going to come printed, and then you'll get that at a monthly celebration. So we're moving to, instead of having one big annual event, we're going to have a monthly celebration and really honor the employees that are achieving their milestone in that month. So if you were hired in April, if your current hire date is April, we're going to celebrate you in April. If your current hire date's May, we're going to celebrate you in May. So what do you all think? Questions? See some head nods. Better than what we have now.
Yeah. What's the timeline for the notes, the e-cards, and all that?
So this piece is we're building this right now. So in April, we're going to have a little bit of a bolus. So in April is when we're going to celebrate January, February, March, and April. So we'll probably have 2 or 3 events, April, early May, and that's around the career achievements. The performance piece, which I'll show you next, the timeline is really to roll out to launch in the new fiscal year. So moving on, so the performance recognition piece. So this is what it would look like when you log in, except it's where it says recognition. I don't know if you all remember in the loop, the 1st of January or maybe even December, there was a contest to name the new recognition program. So there is a winner that hasn't been announced just yet. So where it says recognition, it will have a blue color, sort of a shimmer background, and then it'll have the title of the new recognition program there. So, and then where it says OSCO at the top, that would be UK Healthcare. So this is sort of, I like to think of it almost as a credit card. So if you use your credit card, you get points. So it's similar to this. So if you get recognized and it's approved, there is a little bit of an approval process. You get points associated with that recognition. So you can use your points at the time that you get it, or you can bank your points for a larger item. So this is, there's going to be a page on there that talks about our organizational values. So the diversity, respect, teamwork, and each time you recognize someone, you will actually tie that behavior to one of our values. And so if you see someone who's helping out and you want to recognize them, that'd be a great one for teamwork. So then at the end of the year, we'll be able to run some data just on how many times we were actually utilizing diversity as a recognition moment, or how many times we utilize innovation. So those types of, we'll be able to get some statistics on how many times teamwork was one of the reasons we recognize somebody. So this is where it says reward and repeat. It would say diversity, and it would say innovation, and those will just rotate through the site. So this is what we're going to be looking at. So with regards to our ROI for the program, we're going to be looking at if this impacts the employee engagement survey. We're going to look at our patient satisfaction. So we'll be able to run reports out of the system that say, therapeutic services had 100 recognition moments in the last quarter or something like that. We'll be able to get that data. Then we can sort of start looking at if it's impacting anything. So if you track certain statistics, we'll be able to do some correlations there, which I'm excited about too. So when we talk about patient satisfaction, so some of the areas that struggle with our patient satisfaction scores, we can watch to see if they have high utilization of the recognition program, and if that's starting to impact the staff engagement and staff morale, if that's going to actually impact some of the patient outcomes. And then we'll be working with nurse recruitment and HR to look at turnover as well, to see if this might be able to impact some of the turnover rates in certain areas. So this is a lot of text, but really just goes over the timeline. So we're really looking at a go live for the performance recognition piece at the end of the fiscal year, so FY18. And real quick, I know I have like 1 minute. So on the performance recognition piece, so again, anyone will have access to this, but it does go through sort of a quick approval process, and it's not just clinical, it can be non-clinical as well. So for example, when you log in, and don't have to be a supervisor, because that was a lot of feedback that I got too, that only people that were in a supervisory position had access to the current system, and so they weren't able to do peer-to-peer recognition. So now, I could go in and I could say I wanted to recognize Barb, and I would answer just quick 5 questions. Was this within scope of her job duties, or was this out of scope? Was this patient-facing, or did she initiate this on her own, or was she asked to do this? So a quick, probably 5 questions that are sort of weighted in the background that says, oh, this is a level 1, which may be like 10 points, or oh no, this is a level 2, which may end up being 20 points. So we've sort of built it in the background where, based on what it is, then we'll be able to sort of fluctuate and design the point levels around that. And then since there is a dollar amount associated with those points, the higher level of points you get in the background will be sort of an approval process. So you won't see that. It'll just go to probably a director or someone to actually approve that, because it will, even though it doesn't come out of the director's budget, they'll be responsible for managing that budget. Yes?
Are you limited in how many nominations you can put someone up for?
Nope.
Barb's getting a lot of recognition today.
What's your name? I'll recognize
My
it.
question is, can you nominate yourself?
That's a good question. I don't think you can self-nominate, but I can find out, because actually nobody's asked that question. So, very good.
I'll take the trip to Tahiti.
I know, so real quick, are there any other questions? I can get the answer to that one. Relay that back to Mary Ann. Any other questions? Are you excited about this? You think it'll be good? Okay, well maybe in a year I'll come back and you can tell me if it's working or not. How about that? All right. Well, again, if you all have any questions, let myself know. Mary Ann, she's awesome to working on all of this. I think I'm logged in. Does anybody else have a PowerPoint?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay, yeah. So